In this video, the bright side of life reveals a simple psychological trick that will get people talking even if they have nothing to say. We try to equip our world in accordance with the ideas of what is right. That is why we always correct the interlocutor when we hear a mistake. This desire to do that is so strong that it changes our behavior. Interested in this topic, American Associate Professor and teacher Rajeev R. Tripathy conducted a small experiment and found that if to make deliberate, obvious mistakes that are easy to challenge, students will listen to the lecture much more attentively. According to Rajeev, catching a teacher for inaccuracies or gaps in information is so exciting that the activity and involvement of students in his classes increased by 80%. This trick can be used everywhere. For example, a teenager is too lazy to do some household chores, and will intentionally do them half-strength. Then mom will be disappointed, of course, and will start again washing dishes or vacuuming in a correct way. The same simple technique helps us in a conversation to get more information from the interlocutor than they originally planned to give. This subtle way to change a person's behavior is called Cunningham's Law. According to legend, Cunningham's Law is a joke phrase that the programmer Ward Cunningham once said. He spent a lot of time chatting with other people on the net and came up with an interesting observation. The best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, but to write a deliberately wrong answer. It is very likely that you will be corrected. And in the process of the conversation they will give full information on the topic you're interested in. However, Cunningham is far from the first and by no means the only one who noticed this human feature. So in the famous series Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, the phrase sounds, "People don't like telling you things. They love to contradict you." And even earlier, the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates performed similar tricks with the human psyche. The sage spoke to many smart people simply by questioning their knowledge. This gave rise to a huge number of disputes that would not have taken place if they had not had to convince Socrates and defend their rightness. People are usually not interested in being helpful, but they are interested in getting the status of the smartest person in the chat. Here is perhaps the best definition of Cunningham's Law. How you can use it. Blogger and one of the best authors of the Medium social platform Minarella shared her experience of applying this law. Her stories are really interesting. So thanks to the Cunningham effect, she attracted schoolchildren's attention. At one time I worked a conversational English teacher for several Japanese children. My work was complicated by their restraint. They were usually silent or got off with monosyllabic answers. For example, when I showed a picture of an elephant and asked, "Who is this?" they were frankly bored, were jumping, or crying. In general, they did everything but answering my question. But if I said it was a giraffe, they immediately jumped into the lesson and shouted, "No, it's an elephant." The fact that I didn't know something, but they did, made the children more confident and enthusiastic. The same technique applies to adults. If I'm addressing a reserved, serious person, let's say, as an engineer, "Tell us about your work," they would usually say something like, "I design various systems." Then I have to ask endless clarifying questions to get at least a little detail. And the adult makes a tired face and answers in monosyllables and boringly. Nobody likes these answers. But if I ask a question with some kind of error in it, for example, "You are an engineer. Does that mean you build engines?" the person suddenly perks up. They want to urgently point out my ignorance. They will begin to explain in detail who the engineers are, what they do and what they do not do. All I need to do so the flow of words does not stop is to incredulously interject every few minutes, "Are you sure?" My doubt necessarily causes a reaction. There's only one case when Cunningham's Law does not work, if your interlocutor is a condescending person to someone else's ignorance. But this rarely happens. Usually, people tend to jump into conversations in which they feel superior. And that's great, because arguing is a good way to turn a boring exchange of words into an exciting conversation full of new information. Even if a little manipulation needed to give it a start. Comment below if you use the trick consciously or find yourself using it unconsciously. Like this video, and subscribe so the bright side of life is always with you.